Hello again and welcome to my channel. This is the Numismatist and I got a inquiry from Dave M. in Worcester, Massachusetts. Do you have any red and blue rationing tokens and what do you know about them? Well, Dave, yes I do, and red and blue tokens are part of the federal government's plan to ration goods during the outbreak of World War II, which was administered by the Office of Price Administration, or OPA. Executive Order 8734, signed by the President on April 11, 1941, prior to the attack of Pearl Harbor, authorized this Office of Price Administration to restrict prices to prevent runaway inflation and to begin a program of rationing commodities. Pretty much by the time the war was in full swing, 90% of the commodities and products made in America had to be rationed. Things like meat, sugar, vegetables, rubber, just about anything that was required to feed and clothe and supply an army in the field had to be rationed. Each item had a stamp value. You had to pay for the item, but you also had to have the coupon value for the item you were buying in order to purchase the item. This prevented a lot of unnecessary inflation, price gouging, and it also limited the supply to Americans who immediately recognized that we were kind of wasteful. There were strict rules regulating these purchases and strict values that were set from quarter to quarter depending on the availability of the particular commodity that you're attempting to purchase. If you were to purchase a commodity and you had a stamp for, say, 20 points and that particular purchase required 18 points, you'd had to get change for the stamp or else lose those points. This is where the blue and the red tokens come in. The rule of thumb were red stamps were used to ration things like meat and butter, and blue stamps were used to ration processed foods. Both in the red and blue tokens had a point value of 1. The stamps had an expiration date. You had to use them by a certain date or else they were void, but the tokens, they can pretty much be passed on indefinitely. All of the tokens had the initials OPA stamped on their circumference, the value in the middle, and on each side of the value they had 2 letters. They were made out of a vulcanized fiber board, and they were about 16 millimeters in diameter. I'm not sure whether there was really a spec for the thickness, but they weren't very thick, maybe a millimeter. Now these mysterious letter combinations on either side of the value, the reds had 30 combinations of those letters, the blues had 24. And the General Services Administration's National Archives tell us that these letters identified the die used by the manufacturer. It was mainly for accountability control to the manufacturer, to the government, because obviously the government paid for these things. And it also assisted them in the prosecution of and detection of counterfeits, of which there were in fact counterfeits. Just like coins, there are errors, or were errors made. They were off-center, they were double-stamped, they were very cheaply made, they were not intended for long-term use, and finding some in the condition that you're seeing in this presentation is kind of fortunate. These were passed down to me by my grandmother, who kept them after the war for God knows what reason, but I'm glad she did. And being Americans, as I said, we counterfeited these things, and counterfeiting was so prevalent that the first night gas rationing court was created in Pittsburgh's Fulton building on May 26, 1943. They had to run a night court to keep up with these people. And of course it was all about gasoline, because gasoline was probably one of the most rationed commodities of World War II. In 1946, after the victory in the Pacific, obviously things started to get back to normal as the millions of troops deployed around the world returned home. Rationing ended. There was no longer a need to supply the troops with that never-ending supply that Americans became famous for in the field. Some of these tokens could be pushing 75 years old, which would be remarkable if you found them in this condition. If your great-grandmother left you anything, or you found something up in the attic and they look a little strange like this, I wouldn't be too quick to toss them out. These things, I've seen these actually go for, and I've had offers for these things as much as $6 a piece. Collectors do collect them, and people try and put sets together. There are rare letter combinations. I pretty much have a selection of most of them, and I picked up a few along the way other than the ones Grandma presented to me. I believe I'm missing 2 in the red and 1 in the blue. So that's my spiel on tokens. If you have any comments or questions, or you think I got any more information that I haven't put in here, feel free to contact me on YouTube, drop me a line. I'll see what I can dig up for you. Thanks for watching and listening.
Double time!